Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to welcome you to today's presentation. We will be exploring the powerful concepts of AHIMSA and the peace formula. This session is dedicated to understanding how these principles can guide us towards a more peaceful and harmonious life. Over the next few minutes, we will delve into their significance, their origins, and how we can incorporate them into our daily lives. So, let's get started and discover the transformative potential of these timeless ideas. Let's take a moment to focus on the concept of AHIMSA. AHIMSA is a fundamental principle that emphasizes nonviolence and compassion in all aspects of life. It's about more than just avoiding physical harm. It encourages us to cultivate kindness in our thoughts, words, and actions. This idea is deeply rooted in many spiritual traditions, especially in Indian philosophy, where it serves as a guiding value. In the context of our overall theme, AHIMSA reminds us that true strength lies in empathy and understanding. Practicing nonviolence can transform our relationships and communities, creating a more peaceful and harmonious world. So, as we move forward, keep in mind that AHIMSA isn't just about avoiding harm. It's about actively fostering a mindset of respect and compassion for all living beings. Let's explore where AHIMSA really starts from. Is it just about avoiding physical harm, or does it extend to our words and actions as well? You might be surprised to learn that this principle touches every aspect of our lives. One of the most well-known advocates of AHIMSA in modern times was Mohandas K. Gandhi. His dedication to nonviolence was truly inspiring and helped bring this ancient principle into the contemporary world. Now, when we look at the Gita, it broadens the idea of AHIMSA even further. It's not just about physical nonviolence, but also about avoiding verbal and mental harm. So, speaking truthfully and kindly becomes a vital part of practicing AHIMSA. It encourages us to communicate in a way that doesn't unnecessarily upset or distress others. This connects deeply to our overall theme, how living mindfully and compassionately can create harmony in our lives and in society. Let's take a closer look at the relationship between AHIMSA and the Gita. The Gita acknowledges that sometimes upholding dharma, or our righteous duty, may require actions that seem violent or aggressive. However, what's crucial here is the intention behind those actions. If they are carried out with pure motives and for the greater good, they are not considered himsa or harm. This distinction is key, because it helps us understand that nonviolence isn't always about avoiding conflict altogether, but about acting with a higher purpose in mind. Now, the Gita also emphasizes that AHIMSA, or nonviolence, is one of the divine qualities present in those who possess a divine nature. Alongside AHIMSA, virtues like truthfulness, absence of anger, and renunciation are listed as marks of spiritual nobility. These qualities are interconnected and reflect a deep inner strength and moral integrity. Connecting this to the broader theme of the presentation, it shows us that true righteousness involves a balanced approach, where our actions are guided by pure intentions and virtues, even when difficult decisions are involved. It's about cultivating a divine character that strives for harmony and higher understanding in all aspects of life. Today, I want to introduce you to the AHIMSA diet, a concept that emphasizes nonviolence and compassion in our food choices. The core idea here is to minimize harm, not just to ourselves, but to all living beings. This diet encourages us to focus on plant-based foods and avoid products that involve cruelty or violence towards animals. It's about making mindful decisions that align with respect for life and sustainability. Adopting the AHIMSA diet can have a positive impact on our health, the environment, and the well-being of animals. As we explore this theme of mindful living, this diet serves as a practical way to embody compassion in our daily routines. It's more than just what we eat. It's a commitment to kindness and ethical responsibility. Let's talk about the AHIMSA diet. As we see, diet plays a very important part in our lives. It's not just about nourishing the body, but also about shaping the mind. Food has a direct connection to our attitudes, our thoughts, and our emotions. When we choose what to eat, we're also influencing our mental state and overall consciousness. Many people are increasingly concerned about the violence present in our society today. We hear about it all around us, and it makes us think about how this violence threatens the very existence of our planet. Our current meat diet, for example, is a significant part of that violence. It's not just about personal health, it's about the impact our food choices have on the world. So, adopting a diet rooted in nonviolence, or AHIMSA, aligns with a broader desire to create a more compassionate and sustainable world. It's a way to reduce harm, not only to animals, but also to ourselves and the environment. This is an important step in our journey towards greater awareness and harmony. Let's talk about the AHIMSA diet. Vegetarianism has a very long history, dating back to the earliest days of human civilization. In particular, in India, the concept of AHIMSA, which means nonviolence, has always been a fundamental part of society and culture. When we speak of AHIMSA in food, especially for Jains, it's about choosing foods that cause the least harm and violence. This means being very mindful about what we eat, aiming to minimize suffering and injury to living beings. This principle naturally leads to vegetarianism because it involves avoiding meat, fish, eggs, and sometimes even certain root vegetables. The idea is to avoid supporting the killing or harm of living creatures, whether directly or indirectly. The ultimate goal here is to reduce the accumulation of negative karma. By making compassionate food choices, we align our actions with the values of nonviolence and respect for all life. So, in the context of our overall theme, the AHIMSA diet isn't just about what we eat, but about how our choices reflect our commitment to kindness and nonviolence in our daily lives. Now, let's talk about the AHIMSA diet. The core principle of AHIMSA goes beyond just human interactions. It extends to all living beings, including animals. This means that practicing AHIMSA involves a commitment to nonviolence and compassion in our daily choices. One significant way this manifests is through vegetarianism, which is rooted in the idea of causing as little harm as possible. By choosing a vegetarian diet, we aim to reduce violence and harm in our food consumption. This approach aligns with the overall theme of compassion and mindful living that we've been exploring throughout this presentation. It's about making conscious choices that reflect respect for life and promote harmony. Let's talk about the concept of a spiritual diet. Just like our physical diet, what we feed our minds and souls has a profound impact on our overall well-being. This means being intentional about the kind of spiritual nourishment we consume daily. It's about choosing words, thoughts, and influences that uplift, inspire, and strengthen our faith. A key point here is mindfulness, being aware of what we allow into our hearts and minds. Are the things we focus on helping us grow spiritually, or are they draining us or leading us away from our values? Another important aspect is consistency. Just as physical health benefits from regular exercise and good nutrition, our spiritual health thrives on regular practices like prayer, meditation, reading scripture, or engaging in meaningful community. Connecting this to the overall theme, a healthy spiritual diet forms the foundation for resilience and purpose in our lives. When we nourish ourselves well spiritually, we're better equipped to face challenges and live intentionally. So, I encourage you to examine what you're feeding your soul and to make conscious choices that promote spiritual growth. When we talk about AHIMSA practice, it's important to realize that you don't need to follow a specific religion to believe in or practice it. In fact, anyone who chooses to be vegetarian is practicing AHIMSA because at its core, AHIMSA means showing kindness and nonviolence towards all living beings. It's about respecting life and avoiding harm whenever we can. There's also a powerful reference in the Bhagavad Gita, which is an ancient Hindu scripture. It states that AHIMSA is a quality that belongs to those who are truly divine, or godly men, who are endowed with divine nature. This emphasizes that practicing nonviolence and kindness is a noble and divine trait, accessible to everyone, regardless of religious background. So, in the context of our overall theme, practicing AHIMSA connects deeply to living consciously and compassionately. It's about embodying kindness in our actions and choices, fostering a more peaceful and respectful world. Thus spoke Gandhiji. When I mention his words, I want us to reflect on the depth and simplicity of his message. Gandhi Ji wasn't just a leader, he was a voice of truth and nonviolence. His words carry timeless wisdom that still resonates today. This slide highlights the importance of listening to and learning from his teachings. As we move forward in this presentation, keep in mind how his principles can inspire our actions and decisions. Gandhi Ji's speeches and writings remind us that change begins with individual conviction and peaceful resistance. This connection to the overall theme underscores the power of moral courage and steadfastness in the face of adversity. So, let's consider his words as a guiding light on our journey. So, here we see what Krishna spoke about, which actually dates back over 5,000 years ago. In this passage, Krishna emphasizes that true knowledge involves a wide range of virtues and mental qualities. He highlights humility, which is essential for spiritual growth, and the importance of being free from hypocrisy, being genuine and sincere in our actions. Nonviolence, or AHIMSA, and forgiveness are central to living peacefully with others. Simplicity and serving the Guru are also key, reflecting a humble and dedicated attitude on the spiritual path. Krishna talks about cleanliness of both body and mind, which means maintaining purity externally and internally. Steadfastness and self-control are vital for staying committed to our spiritual goals, while dispassion towards objects of the senses helps us avoid attachment and temptation. He stresses the importance of keeping in mind the fears of birth, disease, old age, and death, reminding us of life's transient nature, and cultivating non-attachment, not clinging to spouses, children, or material possessions. Even-mindedness amidst life's ups and downs is crucial, being steady whether things go our way or not. Constant devotion to Krishna, a preference for solitary places, and avoiding mundane society are also recommended for deeper spiritual focus. Krishna also emphasizes the importance of staying constant in spiritual knowledge and pursuing the absolute truth through philosophical inquiry. All these qualities, humility, nonviolence, purity, steadiness, dispassion, and focused devotion, are what Krishna calls true knowledge. Conversely, anything that opposes these virtues, such as ego, attachment, or ignorance, is what he describes as ignorance. So, in summary, Krishna is guiding us to cultivate these qualities as the foundation of genuine spiritual knowledge, aligning with the overall theme of spiritual development and self-realization. Why we forgot Krishna Dharma? This is a really important question that gets to the heart of how historical memory can sometimes fade over time. You see, there are several reasons why Krishna Dharma, despite his significance, isn't as widely remembered as he should be. First, historical neglect plays a major role. Over time, many important figures and events get overshadowed by others or simply lost because of gaps in record-keeping. Second, societal and cultural shifts can lead to the suppression or sidelining of certain narratives, especially if they challenge prevailing beliefs or power structures. Another factor is the way history is often told through a specific lens, sometimes focusing on more recent or dominant figures, which can push past figures like Krishna Dharma into obscurity. Additionally, the dissemination of knowledge relies heavily on education and media, and if these channels don't prioritize or include his story, it's easy for his memory to fade. Ultimately, understanding why we forgot Krishna Dharma helps us recognize the importance of actively preserving and sharing diverse histories. It reminds us that remembering these figures isn't just about the past, it's about enriching our present and shaping our future. This ties back to our overall theme of uncovering overlooked histories and recognizing their value. So, as we see in this slide, Buddhists have a long-standing tradition of condemning the killing of living beings. This reflects a deep respect for all forms of life. One of the core principles in Buddhism that embodies this idea is AHIMSA, which is essentially about nonviolence and compassion. It's actually the first of the 5 precepts of morality that Buddhists follow. These precepts serve as ethical guidelines to help practitioners live harmoniously with others and cultivate kindness. So, in the broader context of our discussion on religious teachings, you can see how this emphasis on compassion and nonviolence is central to Buddhism's moral outlook. It's a clear demonstration of how respect for life is woven into their spiritual practice and daily conduct. So here we see a powerful statement from Mahavir, a prominent Jain teacher. He emphasized that a wise person does not kill any living being. This highlights the core of Jainism's teachings, compassion and nonviolence. Ahimsa, or nonviolence, is actually one of the most essential principles in Jainism. It's not just about avoiding physical harm, but also about cultivating a mindset of respect and kindness toward all forms of life. This idea connects deeply to the overall theme of how different religions stress compassion and ethical conduct. Mahavir's words remind us that wisdom involves recognizing the sanctity of all living beings and acting accordingly. It's a profound call for mindfulness and peace that resonates across many spiritual traditions. So, when we look at what different religions say about hunting, we see some interesting perspectives. For example, in Judaism, the Talmud, specifically in Avodah 18b, actually forbids not only hunting itself, but also even associating with hunters. This means that, according to these teachings, engaging in hunting or even spending time with those who hunt is considered inappropriate. This highlights how deeply some religious traditions view the act of hunting, often framing it as incompatible with their spiritual values. It also connects to our overall theme of understanding how various faiths approach the relationship between humans and animals, and how these beliefs influence behavior and societal norms. So, in this case, the Jewish perspective emphasizes a strong stance against hunting, rooted in religious teachings that promote compassion and reverence for life. So, in this slide, we're looking at what all religions have in common, and specifically, what the Hebrews tell us about Jesus' mission. In Hebrews 10, verses 5 through 10, it highlights an important aspect of his purpose. It says that one of Jesus' missions was to put an end to cruelty toward animals and the practice of animal sacrifice. This is really significant because, historically, animal sacrifices were a central part of religious rituals for a long time. But here, we see that Jesus' role was to move away from that tradition. It emphasizes a shift from ritual sacrifice to a focus on compassion and inner moral transformation. What this tells us is that Jesus' mission was about more than just religious rituals. It was about promoting kindness, mercy, and a more humane approach. Connecting this to the overall theme, it shows that many religions aim to elevate moral values and compassion, moving beyond mere external practices toward sincere internal change. So, as we look at how different religions express the concept of ahimsa, let's consider Christianity. One of the most well-known commandments from the Bible is "Thou shalt not kill." This commandment is a very clear and direct way of emphasizing the importance of nonviolence and respect for life. It highlights how, within Christian teachings, the idea of not causing harm is fundamental. This aligns with the broader theme we've been exploring, that many spiritual traditions, despite their differences, often share a core value of compassion and nonviolence. In Christianity, the commandment serves as a moral foundation for how believers are encouraged to treat others. So, what's important here is that this principle, this prohibition against killing, can be seen as a form of ahimsa. It underscores the universal importance of kindness and non-harm, which is a thread connecting many of the world's spiritual paths. So, what this slide is telling us is that many religions share a common principle: respect for all living beings and the land we inhabit. It emphasizes treating the land with respect, which means practicing sustainable and organic farming methods. These approaches help protect the environment and ensure that the soil and ecosystems remain healthy for generations to come. It also highlights the importance of producing foods that are beneficial for people, foods that nourish and sustain us without causing harm. This idea ties directly into the concept of ahimsa, or nonviolence, which is a core value in many spiritual traditions. And speaking of ahimsa, it extends beyond just our interactions with humans. It calls us to be kind to animals and all living beings, encouraging us not to eat them if we can choose otherwise. Overall, this slide reminds us that respecting the land and all life forms is a universal principle found across religions, and it connects deeply to the broader theme of compassion, sustainability, and mindful living. Let's talk about AHIMSA by words, deeds, and thoughts. When we say AHIMSA in words, it means being very careful with what we say, avoiding causing pain or offense through our speech. It's about choosing words that uplift rather than hurt. The core idea of AHIMSA is non-injury and non-killing, which extends beyond physical actions to how we communicate. It implies a complete avoidance of harming any living creature, not just physically, but also through our deeds, the things we do, and even our thoughts. So, practicing AHIMSA in all these aspects, words, actions, and thoughts, is a way to live compassionately and respectfully. This approach connects deeply with the overall theme of kindness and nonviolence, reminding us that true nonviolence starts from within and shows in our everyday interactions. Today, I want to highlight an important date, the 21st of September, which is recognized as the International Day of Peace. This day is dedicated to promoting peace and nonviolence around the world. It's a reminder that peace isn't just the absence of conflict, but an active effort to build understanding, tolerance, and harmony among communities. Throughout our presentation, we've emphasized the importance of unity and collaboration, and this day underscores those very principles. It's a call for all of us to contribute to creating a more peaceful world, not just on this day, but every day. Just as a state is protected by the Department of Law and Order, the universe itself is under a similar kind of protection. But here's the interesting part. The universe, of which Earth is just a tiny part, is safeguarded by the laws of nature. These laws are not random. They are the divine principles that govern the cosmos. And it's important to remember that this material nature, this physical world, is actually one of the many potencies of God. It's a reflection of divine energy, a manifestation of His power. Ultimately, God is the supreme proprietor of everything that exists. Everything in the universe, including ourselves, is under His control and guidance. So, when we think about peace, it's connected to understanding that there is a divine order, an intelligence behind all of creation, that keeps everything in harmony. Recognizing this helps us find a deeper sense of peace and trust in the natural laws that sustain the universe. Let's explore the Bhagavad Gita and its insights into inner peace. The Gita, as many of you know, is a profound spiritual text that offers timeless wisdom. It teaches us that inner peace isn't something external or fleeting. Rather, it's a state of mind that we can cultivate through understanding our true nature. One of the key concepts is performing our duties without attachment to the results, which helps reduce anxiety and inner conflict. The Gita emphasizes the importance of self-awareness and discipline in achieving tranquility. When we align our actions with our higher values and purpose, we find a deep sense of fulfillment and calm. Connecting this to our overall theme, it reminds us that inner peace is an ongoing journey, one that requires mindfulness, self-control, and a clear understanding of who we truly are. The Bhagavad Gita offers us a profound path to peace by focusing on cultivating inner equanimity. What this means is developing a balanced mind, one that remains steady regardless of external circumstances. It also emphasizes the importance of detachment from outcomes, understanding that we should perform our duties without being overly attached to success or failure. Surrender to the divine plays a key role here, encouraging us to trust in a higher power and let go of excessive control. The core idea is that true peace doesn't come from external factors, like material possessions or external events, but from the way we manage our inner state of mind. This is achieved through self-awareness, which helps us understand ourselves better, devotion, which connects us to the divine, and the control of desires, preventing us from being driven by cravings that disturb our peace. By focusing on our duty, practicing meditation, and understanding the nature of the mind, we can reach a place of inner calm and tranquility. These practices, rooted in the teachings of the Gita, guide us toward a peaceful life that remains resilient no matter what challenges we face. This aligns perfectly with our overall theme of seeking inner harmony and resilience through spiritual wisdom. This earth, as we often hear, is actually God's property. It belongs to the divine, the supreme, the creator. But here's the interesting part. While it's His property, we, especially as human beings, tend to claim it as our own. And not just individually, but collectively as a society. We develop these false notions that the earth and its resources are ours to use freely, without regard for the true owner. This misconception stems from a misunderstanding of our relationship with the divine and the environment. We see ourselves as separate and superior, which leads us to exploit rather than respect what belongs to God. So the key point here is that everything around us is actually God's property. Yet, due to these false conceptions, both individually and collectively, we act as if it's ours. Recognizing this truth is crucial because it shifts our perspective from ownership to stewardship. It reminds us that we are caretakers, not owners, and that our role should be to protect and preserve this divine gift. This idea ties into the broader theme of the presentation, which emphasizes humility, responsibility, and a respectful relationship with the world. Understanding that the earth belongs to God helps us realign our attitudes and actions accordingly. If you want peace, it's essential to address a fundamental misconception that often underpins conflict and unrest. That misconception is the false idea that humans have a proprietorship over the earth, like we own it or have the right to dominate it. This belief can lead to exploitation of natural resources, environmental degradation, and even conflicts over land and power. What's important to realize is that this claim of ownership is not only false, but also a major source of disturbances on our planet. When we see ourselves as separate from nature or as the ultimate owners, it fuels greed, competition, and discord. If we truly desire peace, both within ourselves and in the world, we need to let go of this false sense of proprietorship. Recognizing that we are part of a larger, interconnected system can help us approach the earth with respect, humility, and a sense of shared responsibility. This idea ties directly into the overall theme of our presentation, which is about shifting our consciousness and transforming our relationship with the world around us. Peace begins when we change our mindset from ownership to stewardship, from control to harmony. That's the key to creating a more peaceful and sustainable future for everyone. Now, let's talk about establishing peace. This is a crucial step in any process of conflict resolution or community building. When we think about establishing peace, we're really focusing on creating an environment where trust can grow, where dialogue is open, and where differences are managed constructively. It's about laying the foundation for lasting harmony, which ties back to our overall goal of fostering sustainable relationships and progress. By prioritizing understanding and cooperation, we can turn conflict into an opportunity for positive change. Remember, establishing peace isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing effort that requires patience, commitment, and active engagement from everyone involved. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate your time and attention throughout this presentation. Now, let's take a moment to practice what we've discussed, focusing on AHIMSA and peace. These principles are not just ideas, they're ways of life that we can incorporate into all aspects of our daily routines. Whether we're at work, at home, or in our communities, practicing kindness and nonviolence helps create a more harmonious environment. Remember, the goal is to carry the spirit of peace with us in everything we do. So, let's aim to live with compassion and understanding, making a positive difference wherever we go. Thank you again for being part of this journey toward a more peaceful world.